Good evening, folks. Come on in. Pull up your favorite chair and let's dim the lights just a touch. There's a soft chill in the air tonight, the kind that makes you grateful for a warm home and a heavy blanket. Tonight, I want us to talk about something that touches the very soul of who we are as a people. It's a story about silence, about green balsam, red ribbons, and a promise that spans across generations. You know, we often think that to change the world, you need $1 million or a fancy title. But the story of Wreaths Across America proves that all you really need is a grateful heart and a little bit of extra inventory. It all started back in 1992 in a quiet corner of the country called Arlington, Maine. There was a man there named Morrill Worcester who owned the Worcester Wreath Company. Now, 1992 was a good year for balsam, but as the holiday season drew to a close, Morrill found himself with a surplus, about 5,000 extra wreaths that hadn't been sold. Most folks would have just seen that as a loss, a bit of wasted profit. No Morrill? He looked at those 5,000 wreaths and saw an opportunity to fulfill a promise he'd made to himself nearly 30 years earlier. You see, when Morrill was a 12-year-old boy, he won a trip to our nation's capital. And of all the monuments and white marble buildings he saw, the one that never left his mind was Arlington National Cemetery. He never forgot the sight of those endless rows of white headstones standing like silent sentinels in the grass. So, with the help of a local politician and some folks who knew their way around a truck, Morrill decided to take those 5,000 wreaths down to Arlington. But he didn't want them in the new high-traffic areas where everyone goes to visit. No, he asked to place them in Section 27, one of the older, quieter parts of the cemetery that didn't get many visitors anymore. It was a quiet, private gesture. There were no news cameras, no big speeches, just some volunteers and members of the Maine State Society putting those wreaths down in the snow, one by one. And for 15 years, folks, that's exactly what stayed, a quiet, private tradition. But then, in 2005, a photo was taken. It was a snowy day at Arlington, and someone snapped a picture of those green wreaths with their bright red bows against the pure white snow on those white stones. That photo went viral before we even really used the word viral. People saw it, and their hearts just broke and swelled all at once. Thousands of people started calling Morrill asking, "How can I help? How can I do this in my town?" That was the birth of Wreaths Across America. And it has grown into something that would take your breath away. Today, it's not just 5,000 wreaths in one cemetery. Every December, on a designated Saturday, millions of volunteers gather at over 4,000 locations across all 50 states, at sea, and even abroad. I want you to imagine the logistics of that for a second. We're talking about hundreds of truck drivers, the honor fleet, who volunteer their time and their rigs to haul millions of wreaths from Maine all across the country. These drivers, many of them veterans themselves, say it's the most important load they carry all year. They call it the world's largest Veterans Parade. But here is the most beautiful part of the whole thing. The mission of this organization isn't just decorate. It's 3 simple words: remember, honor, teach. When a volunteer, maybe a little girl in a winter coat or a grandfather with a cane, approaches a headstone, they don't just lay the wreath and walk away. They are taught to say the veteran's name out loud. Why? Because there's an old saying that a person dies twice. Once when their breath leaves them, and a second time when their name is spoken for the very last time. By saying Corporal Miller or Sergeant Davis, we are making sure they stay alive in our hearts. We are giving them back their identity, their story, and our gratitude. I remember hearing about a young boy who was volunteering. He stood in front of a stone from the Korean War, placed the wreath carefully, brushed the snow off the name, and said, "Thank you for my freedom." That, right there, is the teach part of the mission. We are teaching the next generation that the dirt we stand on was paid for by the folks resting beneath it. And did you know, folks, that the wreaths themselves are full of meaning? They aren't just decorations. Each wreath is made of 10 bunches of balsam. Those 10 bunches represent 10 different qualities of a veteran. Their belief, their love, their strength, their honesty, their humility, their ambitions, their optimism, their care, their selflessness, and their hopes. When you see that circle of green, you're seeing the circle of a life well lived in service. And that red bow in the center, that represents the sacrifice, the bloodshed for the country. It's a powerful symbol, isn't it? There are so many stories that come out of this day, like the Patriot Guard riders on their motorcycles escorting the trucks, or the Remembrance Tree program back in Maine, where families of the fallen can find a living balsam tree and hang a gold star in honor of their loved one. It's a living, breathing memorial. The most emotional place, as you can imagine, is still Arlington. When you stand at the top of the hill and look down and see hundreds of thousands of green circles stretching as far as the eye can see, it's a silence that speaks louder than any shout. It tells the families of those veterans, we haven't forgotten. We know your son was here. We know your mother served. We are here with you. For many of us who lived through the tough years, who remember the boys who didn't come back from Vietnam or the heroes of World War II, this day is a chance to say the welcome home that some of them never got to hear. It's a way to say, we remember you and we thank you. So, as we sit here tonight, let's hold that image in our minds. A quiet, snowy field, a green wreath, a red bow, and the sound of a name being whispered into the winter wind. It's the greatest honor we can give, to simply remember. All right, folks, let's see how well you were listening. I hope you were paying attention to those details. What was the name of the man from Maine who started this whole tradition with his 5,000 extra wreaths? In what year did the first quiet delivery of wreaths to Arlington National Cemetery take place? Wreaths Across America has a 3-word mission. We mentioned it several times. What are those 3 words? How did you do tonight? If you got all, well, you've got a mind as sharp as a tack. You're a regular historian. If you missed a few, don't you worry about it for a minute. These stories are deep and full of details. Just by being here and focusing your mind, you've done a wonderful thing for your memory. Try listening again tomorrow morning. It's the best practice there is. I'm so glad we could share this quiet moment together tonight. It's important to remember the good in the world and the people who keep the light of memory burning. Before you head off to bed, please hit that subscribe button and ring that little bell. We're a family here, and I don't want you to miss a single story. Join me tomorrow morning for a much faster-paced tale. We're going to talk about the 12-second miracle, How Two Bicycle Boys Shook the Sky. The incredible story of the Wright Brothers. It'll be the perfect way to start your day with a little inspiration. Until then, sleep well, dream of good things, and always remember to keep those wonderful memories turning. Good night, folks.